Welcome, everyone. I'm going to assume that we are live and on the air right now. So I want to say welcome to one of our newest and sexiest ACC campuses. This is Highland 2000, and we are in the presentation hall, and this is our first in-person campus conversation in quite a while. So thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you joining us virtually. We appreciate you guys being here in person, and we've got a lot to talk about today. We are going to do our best to go over a lot of the topics facilities focused. We've been working really hard as a college, trying to get things going, get it moving, building new facilities, renovating old facilities, and planning for the future. And we have a lot of experts here with us today to take your questions and to also kind of tell us what's happening, where we are with timelines, and what's coming next, which is a very important question. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and take this opportunity to introduce folks, and I do want to say we are socially distanced and wearing our masks, but you may take your mask off while you're answering so people can clearly hear you. So thank you for that. I'm going to start with Neil Vickers. Neil is here today, and he is our Executive Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration. Next to him, we have Dr. Molly Beth Malcolm, Executive Vice Chancellor of College Operations and Public Affairs. Our Vice Chancellor of Facilities and Construction, who's been very busy, is here with us today, Aziz Husseini. We have Mike Midgley, Vice Chancellor of Instruction, and Dr. Shasta Buchanan, who is our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs. We also have a lot of our deans and department chairs here today. They're going to give us some insights into the programs that are going into some of these facilities and how it's been going so far. And we have a couple of our project managers who are here today. These are the guys who've done the deep dive. They've done the planning, the coordinating, and we want to celebrate them as well. Our goal is to give you a good oversight of what's going on and save some time at the end to take a question. Also with us today is our Vice Chancellor of College Relations and Communications, Jessica Vess. Jessica, how are the questions going to work?
Good morning, Brett. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this campus conversation on ACC facilities. I do know that there are a couple of folks who are outside, so I apologize. We will get that door open in just a moment. It seems like the doorstop may have moved. Someone's on their way to do that for you now. But for questions, we will be sharing a lot of information. We will be looking to kind of enter into conversation with different topics as we move forward. The chat is open in live stream as well. We have some great conversations and greetings happening right now too. If you are watching on the live stream, you'll see that we have ASL interpretation down at the bottom screen. That will be for you. We will have closed captioning available in the recording for this, which we'll post to the campus conversation page shortly. There also is a form at the bottom of the website, which you are probably on if you're watching live stream. It says submit your question or say submit a topic. And we encourage you to share your ideas and your questions there so that we can access them after this conversation should we run out of time and not get to your question here. It is hard for us to capture everything in the chat, so that is a good way for us to document and make sure we can still answer your question and get those answers posted to this page.
Perfect, thank you. And Jess is going to keep us on time and keep us moving. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Aziz, who is going to give us kind of an overview presentation of what's going on.
Fantastic. Thank you for arranging this, Jessica and Brett. Appreciate the opportunity to share what's happening with facilities across the ACC campuses. So let me review some of these slides. Where are we today? Today we have 11 campuses across the Austin Community College District. It's over approximately 75 buildings that we have, almost 3.5 million square feet. A lot of that square footage has been added on over the last 10 years via multiple general obligation bonds that the City of Austin voters have approved for us to build our facilities. Aside from the 11 campuses, we also have 2 land banks. One is at Pinnacle campus and the other one is at Southeast Travis. Those in the future will serve as great opportunities for us to expand the opportunities that we can offer to the ACC community in terms of the course offering, the program offerings, and opportunity to build those campuses into what the needs of the community from a job growth perspective are. So how do we get there, right? There's a lot of and there's a lot of information that gets plugged in regards to how we figure out what we're going to build. And at the center of that is developing a campus master plan. The campus master plan helps us think through the what to build, the where to build it, how much to build, and where do we want to build it. And that information is gathered by getting many stakeholders, right? The community of stakeholders together. And we often use the phrase, it takes a village, but literally, you know, when we get a campus master plan together, it's a village of people coming together with different backgrounds and bringing their key insight that helps us put these master plans together, right? So we have ACC Board of Trustees members, we have the administration, we have the regional advisory committees, we have faculty and staff who participate in various user groups, deans of departments, and then also we also collect demographic data. And let me show you how decisions are made based on demographic data. So here's just a sample chart of information that's shared. I mean, this graphic speaks to where ACC students reside. So if you take a look at that, there's some different color-coded areas. And what it shows is how far do students live away from our campuses. And one of the key findings that we learned, for example, from the recent district-wide campus master plan demographic study was that most students live within 20 minutes of most of our campus, with Hayes and Round Rock then being the exception, because students travel 40 minutes to get to those campuses, right? So then gets a head scratcher for us, right? Why are folks traveling 40 minutes to get to those campuses? Are there programs that are being offered at those campuses that are then the drivers? Is it then, is the next decision point for us then to think, okay, what's being offered there? Could we make that program available closer to where students are so they're not spending an hour plus each way, right, commuting? So that just to let you know, I mean, that's data-driven decision-making versus well, we feel like, let's put up a campus on Riverside today or something, right? So the justification and the thought process in regards to where we're going to develop is very data-based. Here's another example of data-driven decision-making, right? This is growth for job opportunities across Austin, across our district over the next 10 plus years, right? So the light blue represents white collar jobs, the dark blue represents, which is almost 16%, represents blue collar jobs, and that's a lot of what we cater to, right, in terms of our APTE programs. And down below, you'll see a lot of those blue collar jobs are focused on construction industry, transportation. They're based on production, maintenance, and that's where we think about, okay, if that's where we want to focus on, how do we think about the programs related to applied tech? Which programs do we want to think about? Welding, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, so on and so forth. And where's their growth so we can focus our programs towards that future growth? So the 2014 bond, the prior bond that was issued, led to a lot of great buildings. Along with that, that money that we got from the GO bond was complemented with PFC projects, which are under funding mechanisms to fund building growth and development across our campuses. So the programs there that are in black there are some of the ones that, black ink there are some of the ones that we completed over the last 5 years or so. Elgin, St. Gabriel, Round Rock, Hayes, our parking garage where you might have parked today. And we'll jump into what's happening with HLC 2000, RGC 1000, and 3000. Those are also projects that were funded by the GO bond. We'll get into some of those details in a little bit. So recently, as in June of this year, our Board of Trustees approved the funding of $85 million in a tax maintenance note. It's also referred to as tax maintenance bond. But what that allowed us to do was, although we got done with a lot of large projects with our GO bonds, there were still a lot of smaller projects that were needed, whether they were infrastructure-based, IT-related, sustainability-related, or capital project-related. There were still needs that were identified, right, that were smaller but still needed to be addressed across our campuses. So we've gone ahead and started on those projects since that approval date in June. And here are, what I've highlighted here are some of the major projects that are going to be the result of that. I mean, we've spread those across our north, south, and central regions with projects at Eastview, Highland, Northridge, Riverside, Round Rock, and South Austin. And there's a bunch of other smaller projects. These are just the major ones that are there that are also in some of our other campuses as well. So, that's the short-term piece related to the district-wide, related to the tax maintenance note. What I'm showing here is just future development, right? And for things for future conversations. So one of the things that the district-wide campus master plan identifies is what are we doing with these large land banks, right? So you can see this is our existing Southeast Travis site right by the airport, right next to where Tesla's putting up their Gigafactory. And what we do in terms of our thinking is we try to think about short-term and long-term needs and growth within that campus. So the middle image there shows short-term development. I mean, what are we thinking in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of growth there? And all that growth is based on APTE type programs being situated on that campus. And then the long-term or full build-out, we'll call it, is a full future of that campus related to what we'll see eventually. It might be 20 years from now, it might be 50 years from now, but that's the growth that we've thought through, thinking way ahead into the future of what that future of that campus can be. And it's a similar perspective. I mean, you might not be familiar with Southeast Travis as much, but HLC is right here. You're standing in one of our buildings, and the buildings in black and the spaces in black, like St. John's Encampment and the Fontaine Plaza, are spaces that have currently been built or almost completed, and the ones that are identified in red will be a future development. So again, thinking ahead, right? What our needs are, and how do we get there is part of what we do with our master planning effort. For those of you who are more interested in this further, you can go to our website, and we have these plans posted, so you can peruse them, email us some questions, and hopefully you can have additional conversations about this in the future. Thank you.
Aziz, before you head out, we do have one great question that came up
Sure.
related to this before we move into some of the details of some of these projects you mentioned. You showed us some really good information about data and using data to help us with our decision making. The demographics, though, were from 2018, and we know that there's been a lot of change since then, especially as a result of the pandemic. So how do we look at the latest information and pivot and know how to be really timely with those decisions?
Yep. I think part of this is a iterative process, right? So in the past, we have had the district-wide campus master plan that we had prior to 2021 was in 2011, right? So we went through a 10-year gap where we just were stagnant in regards to decisions that we were making based on old data, right? I think the lessons learned for us right now is to just make sure we are doing upgrades much more frequently, right? So that data, like you asked, it's much more fresh, and then that way that we're making objective decisions based on the most recent information. You got it.
We appreciate the overview presentation, too. I'm going to jump ahead to Highland, which is, as you saw, one of the most complex projects that we've probably ever had. And I'm going to start with 2000, which is open. And I'd like to start with Christian Raymond, who is our department chair for radio, TV, film. And every time I step foot into this building, you are giving a tour. So I would love to know, what has been the reaction, and most especially from your students?
Tour yet?
I have taken the tour. It's gorgeous.
Sure. So obviously it's a very exciting time for all the creative areas here, and really what we've developed here, thanks to so many people, is a creative digital media center which speaks to combining art and technology and disciplines and departments and bringing in community and industry in some really new dynamic ways. And for students, the student experience so far has been a really exciting one, I think, on the cutting edge of creative industries, which is what we're training students for. And this semester, just in radio, television, film, we have new facilities from a studio standpoint. We have new TV studios, new mixed media production studios, a new Foley studio, which is an audio mixing studio, a digital storytelling innovation lab, which students have really, I think, been blown away by. And also, just the quality of work and the things that students have been able to create just so far in one semester, I think has been amazing. And so it's just the beginning, and next semester we're moving forward with, still finishing out certain facilities, punch lists and things like that, but along with, PBS right down the street, which I know we're going to talk about later, but in the facility and some of the partnerships there, and with ACC TV, it's a great time for students and faculty and staff.
Thank you so much. So Highland is kind of our hub for creative career programs. We have the new Impact Lab, which is our manufacturing incubator, which is really huge. We have culinary and hospitality, 5 kitchens and a restaurant that will be opening soon. We've got Chef here to take your questions too about the restaurant, the hours of operation and the food and all that good stuff. And we also have, which is really kind of cool, we have a health sciences simulator lab. And I had no idea what that was. And Dr. Nina Almasy gave me a tour the other day with a few other folks. And let me just say, wow, it is so cool. Why is this so important? And give folks who are listening kind of an idea of what it is.
Thank you, Brett. How much time do I have? It is very exciting. So we went live in June, and I have to acknowledge our wonderful SIM staff director, Audra Lewis, and her staff here. So the Simulation Center went live in June, and as you saw, it is truly a state-of-the-art facility with multiple private patient care units, labs. We have an OR suite. We have a small ED area. It's very exciting. So far since June, we've had more than 8,400 learner hours utilized already, as well as about 2,000 learners have walked through. So that means, a student might have gone twice. So student bodies, 2,000. So it's being used, but the potential is wonderful. We are using it for our health science programs, such as nursing, of course, Surg Tech, EMSP, OTA. We're also very excited about the partnership opportunities with healthcare facilities in the area. We're already thinking about certificate opportunities where nurses and our students can both together learn as an interprofessional collaboration. And we're also excited, I think, because it's so uniquely situated in this building, adjacent to culinary, RTF, the Impact Lab, and even the fashion incubator. I've already reached out to the director, Nina Means, to see what can we partner with. I think there is great opportunity to meet both student learning outcomes in multiple areas, not just within health sciences. So we're very excited.
It really is cool. Thank you for that. And one of the things that brought to mind when you were talking is the word that we use a lot with Highland 2000, which is convergence. And it's really a cool experience. We do this a lot across the district, but the programs are really working together. And if we have time, I'd love for you guys to talk about that a little bit, about how those programs are working together. Right now, what I'd like to do is first let you know that we are planning a Highland grand opening. And COVID permitting, that will be coming in spring. So mark your calendars and we'll let you know exactly what that date is. Also, what we would like to do is talk a little bit about something that's going on south of here, and that's Building 3000. And Building 3000 is a unique opportunity for partnerships. It's a unique opportunity to pull administration together and create some synergy. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Molly Beth Malcolm to tell us what's happening at Building 3000.
Is an exciting building. It is going to be the first time there's ever been the opportunity for us to have all or most of administration all under one roof. And even more exciting than having administration there is Austin PBS has left the University of Texas to come to ACC as their new home. And that's an exciting opportunity for all of us because of the synergy that'll come. And Brett, you may want to address this a little bit because our own ACC TV will be there. Also, they are moving. They have a brand new, Austin PBS has a brand new Studio 6A. Like, if any of you ever went over to the University of Texas to go to any of the tapings or anything, you know, you had to stand outside. You couldn't find parking, any of that. Well, it's much, much better here. It is a beautiful, beautiful studio, and then ACC has a studio, and then we have a third studio that we share between all of us. And Brett, you ought to talk a little bit about y'all's partnership.
Absolutely phenomenal. Right now, ACC TV has about 12 interns, and we plan to double that. And these are the guys who are producing a lot of what you see on ACC TV and a lot of what you see on our website. But that's going to skyrocket when we get to partner with probably, I'm biased, but one of the best PBS affiliates in the nation. And then, of course, we'll be partnering even more with the RTF department in graphic design and animation. So it's creating that convergence again.
And I don't think that's a bias. I think Austin PBS is ranked that way.
There you go.
In the country as one of the best in the nation. So that's a very exciting opportunity. It's also very exciting to know that we are going to get to have administration all there together. And again, if you've not been over in this area and seen what Highland looks like, you're going to be in for a big surprise. You know, now there are I guess there are 1, 2, 3 opened apartment complexes. There's another one being built at the present time. As Zees's already mentioned, Jacob Fontaine Plaza, beautiful park, is complete. We have this great paseo that goes to the middle of 2000 and out the back, and then we're in the process of building St. John's Encampment Common, which is another phenomenal park that we'll have. And if you are not familiar with the history of here, Jacob Fontaine was the original moderator for the St. John Baptist Association, which is an African-American, it began in the 1800s as an African-American Baptist Association. St. John's Baptist Association is still here today, and our trustees honored by choosing the name the St. John Encampment Commons because at one time there was an orphanage and a training school here, but in the summer, wagons would come in from all over Central Texas and camp there and teach and preach and do all kinds of things like that. Then as we know, this area ultimately became a mall. Now it's been brought back to education, and we've been very careful and methodic in trying to preserve the history and work closely with St. John Baptist Association in doing this. So that's been an exciting thing. Other thing, though, I want to tell you about 3000, we will be moving into 3000 in mid-spring, or it may be even the end of the semester. You know, there's a lot going on. Building's not going as fast as everybody wants it to because of supply chain, because of the pandemic, because of last year, you remember we had a winter storm, which caused us a lot of problems in building 3000. But when the time comes to move, it's not all going to be on a one-day, kind of like Pinnacle, where over a week or so you packed up and moved in. This building, or Building 3000, may have move-ins for different floors at different times, just depending on when we get things. And I'm going to give you another example. Just this very week, you know, over at Rio Grande, we have the software factory. And we had borrowed some furniture from over here to let them use, just because we didn't have everybody back here yet and we needed to get them in. And we had moved that furniture back here, and our furniture people were waiting to set up the furniture, and lo and behold, the 18-wheeler that was bringing all of the furniture for the software factory had a wreck, and the total 18-wheeler of furniture was destroyed. So now we're back to square one on that. So that's the kind of things that we've been dealing with. And again, the supply chain issue is a real one as far as us getting furniture. So please, everybody, be patient. If you're one of those that's supposed to move over here, or anywhere for that matter, as we're doing everything we can to get things there. Our furniture and fixtures and equipment falls under Sherry-Ann Jenkins, and she's got a great team of people that are working to get it all in place, but it's not going as fast as we'd want to. And then finally, remember when you're over here too, you can get your nails done. You can go get coffee. You know, you can go do yoga. It's a mixed-use development. So there are actually businesses around, and we've worked with the businesses, and many of them are giving a 10% discount to students, faculty, and staff. So you might ask when you go to any of them, do you do that? If you have you have to have your ACC ID. We should all have them on. I had mine on, but since I was sitting up here, it's in my bag. But remember, we're all supposed to be wearing them, and that is a safety and a security measure as well.
Dr. Malcolm, thank you so much. That was a robust update. I love the history, and there's going to be a history timeline that's going in
Yes.
soon, so we'll hit on that.
Yes, that'll
I'm
be in
gonna-
our Paseo.
Paseo, which once, if you haven't seen the Paseo, you've got to see it. It's gorgeous. I'm going to move real quickly because we have a whole lot of things to cover, and I'm going to start with timeline. Mike, I'm going to move to you, and we're going to talk about Rio Grande. Could you tell me a little bit about the vision for the programs that are going to be going into Rio Grande and what you know of the timeline?
So on Rio Grande, the facility is largely built out. We're still working through some specific areas. The Learning Resource Center or library is not complete yet. The accelerator is not complete yet. The Learning Lab is not complete yet. And the computer science classrooms are not complete yet, and that's a matter of equipment, which Dr. Malcolm referenced already. We're struggling with some of those things. So all of that will happen in the spring. We do have classes scheduled in Rio Grande for the spring semester, and we're really comfortable with that. We have those rooms have been outfitted. The labs are. We're doing a lot of the general education courses in the science, engineering, math, liberal arts courses there beginning in the spring. As we outfit the computer science labs, we'll bring that back. We'll have a heavy computer science presence. And so a lot of the things that you know that were at Rio Grande prior to the renovation will be returning to Rio Grande, either effective beginning with the spring or at some point during the spring. The things that aren't there, of course, are fine arts that were at Rio Grande before because they're here now. So I think that's kind of the timeline for Rio Grande. For offices, I should mention that at least because we're working on that right now. Same problem. The offices in many cases are ready for faculty to occupy. We are trying to set those up. And for those faculty members who are actually teaching at Rio Grande beginning in the spring, we're gonna have to outfit your offices with not with new furniture, but we're gonna have to take it from other campuses where the loading is significantly low to get that set up while we wait on the things that should have been here months and months and months ago, but because of supply chain issues, will be coming later in the semester. So we'll just have to work around that. So if you're going to office at Rio Grande, we will get you outfitted and you'll be there. It may not be the best accoutrements that you have ever had, but we're working on that.
Mike, thank you very much. While you've got the microphone, I just want to kind of go ahead and move on to Northridge. But because of what has happened with so many of our programs moving to Highland and then what's going on with Rio Grande, this is an opportunity to give some of our other campuses a little bit of love too. And so tell us what's happening at Northridge.
Yeah, I certainly will. One other quick thing about Rio Grande, though, which I did leave out, and I mentioned computer science, and we're struggling to get those labs set up. We envision that campus being a computer science and IT hub for our programs there because of the Software Factory and the Army Futures Command being there, which is a software-based training unit for the Army. So we're interacting significantly with them, and so we are going to leverage that and build on that. On to Northridge. So Northridge, when a lot of the digital media, the creative media programs for Northridge moved to Highland, that gave us an opportunity to rethink and restructure a little bit what we're going to do at Northridge. So a couple of things we're not doing. We're not really making a lot of changes in Building 2000 or in Building 1000. So 1000, as you know, that's the administrative building. We may make some changes, but we're not envisioning huge things. And then 2000 is our science, engineering, math, liberal arts building primarily, and that remains. We're teaching courses in there for the spring. No effect there. What we're really talking about are buildings 3000 and 4000 at Northridge. Building 3000 was almost completely emptied of programs that came here to Highland. And so we have struggled for years and years and years to find an effective home for continuing education, our short-term training programs. And so that made really perfect sense to us to take that one building, 3000. It's a relatively small building, but not tiny at all. So it's decent sized. And it was originally built to do some CTE type workforce things, and so the building works well for that. So CE has been teaching particularly IT, some healthcare things, some other areas too in that building actually this fall, during the fall. And so they will continue to do that. So Building 3000 at Northridge will largely be a short-term training facility for continuing education, Hector's group. And so we're really excited about that. It has been decades coming to have an adequate home for them and to be able to do that kind of training, which is important to us. So we're doing that. The sort of fly in the ointment is we need renovations. And so what we'll be doing then next year, so they're there now for this year, we are going to have to do some renovations to Building 3000, so it's kind of moving the tiles around. We're going to move CE into Building 4000 into the vacated spaces while we renovate 3000. Upon completion of the renovations to 3000, which Aziz may talk about at some point, but upon the completion of the renovations, which will take about a year, CE will move back into Building 3000, okay? What are we going to do in 4000, which is the last piece of this? And so in Building 4000, with the available space, start with, there are a number of programs that are in 4000 that did not move, and we will maintain those. Again, a computer science present, a networking presence. We have some developmental work that we're doing there. We have several things that we're doing there that we don't envision, stripping those out and moving those. But there's a lot of available space there, and so the things we're really looking at doing with some of that space are we're wanting, it'll be a home for the Asian American Cultural Center, which we're bringing up. We plan to do that at Northridge. We plan to build an accelerator, clearly not on the scale of Highland Phase 1, but a significant component, an accelerator there with a difference, a little bit of a twist. We'd like this one to have a business area of study focus. They are really excited about this, and we support that. So we're looking at how do we combine those and do that. A welcome center at Northridge for students. We're also looking at trying to do a little bit more CE potentially in 4000, things like RTF, maybe some culinary, those sorts of things. We would like to do an adult ed assessment center there. That's another thing we struggle with. So for 4000, those are the things that are really on the table for us to be doing in Building 4000 at Northridge. Again, that one will be in about 2 years because we have to use it for CE next year and while the renovations are on and then renovate it. And then we begin to move these things back into 4000. So we're excited about all of those things. And I'll stop there, Brett. And if people have questions, they can ask them later, and I'm happy to address them.
Very good. Thanks, Mike. And you did mention welcome centers and accelerators. So I'd like to pass the mic to Dr. Buchanan and talk a little bit about what we are seeing with the expansion of our accelerators and what is the vision for the student welcome centers.
One more time, good morning. I think for us, we had our space over in Highland, the Highland Business Center, and it becomes that missed opportunity to be able to really showcase our campuses and have students that are new and continuing, be able to have that support that they need, but be on the campus and actually have an opportunity to see all the wonderful things that we've discussed here this morning and to really invite them in, have one-on-one hands-on support and help. It's hard when a new student comes into a space to not know where to go. Student affairs, that name doesn't resonate with them, but when you're welcoming someone, it does. So it's not a space where we're just sitting and waiting for you. It's a space that will be inviting. It's an opportunity for students to be oriented to the institution, as well as, is it too soon for me to say Make It Center? As well as to be able to have that campus tour and move them to that Make It Center. I won't speak too much to that as well. But also, because of where we are and having welcome centers on our different campuses, remember that's our connection to the community as well, as that's a part of our mission at the college. So how do we connect and bring people to us, but also take ourselves to them and bring them into that space? So that's a little bit about the welcome center, so we can help them move through a process seamlessly with help and support, but also use the campus to be able to really invite them, motivate them to keep moving forward, that this is the place that you want to be. So I think it's a great opportunity to move from Highland Business Center to being on our different campuses with welcome centers to really allow our community members, our current students and future students, to really explore all the great things that are happening so they can see themselves here. And that's what research shows. When students are actually on the campus and they're looking for that opportunity, they're more likely to enroll because they feel that I fit here, I belong here. And that's really what we want to create, that belonging for our students.
Thank you very much, Shasta, for that overview. And we have we're really trying to stay on time so that we can have questions at the end, about 4 minutes to talk about Eastview. And this has been a campus obviously near and dear to our heart, and there's some really cool plans. Mike, can you set us up while I'm walking to Dr. Almasy and tripping?
Thing that has been a long time coming. We've talked about this for years. You know, we have all the way back to the meningitis requirement for students, and we had to send them elsewhere instead of being able to do those vaccinations on our own campuses. So we've wanted to do this for a long time. We're in the process of working with our industry partners in the health industry, the majors as well as some of the others as well, to develop a wellness center at the space at Eastview vacated by Culinary Arts coming to Highland. So Nina, if you walk us through that, thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, absolutely. So it's very exciting right now. We're in the exploratory phase, reaching out to multiple community-based organization, healthcare, and academic entities that have a similar center on their campuses to kind of find the best practices. And we're taking our time because we want to do it right. One thing that I'm very excited about is the partnership opportunities it will create. And the goal is to facilitate student success by providing affordable healthcare, primary healthcare services, but also serve as an area where students can meet their clinical learning needs. And by students, I mean this is multidisciplinary, not just nursing or, so it's a variety of services that we can provide, but we're also very focused on those services that lead to reducing health disparities, the social services, the mental health services. Those are also extremely important to us.
Nina, thank you. That's going to be really, really exciting to be able to open that up for our community. We have Chris Cervini with us today. Chris is our, I knew that was going to happen, our Associate Vice Chancellor of Public Affairs. And Chris, there's a whole lot of planning going on, and we're relying heavily on our regional advisory committees. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how that process works?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Brett. So ACC, a couple of years ago, the board and the chancellor pulled together these groups of these community groups. There's 33 members. The board and the chancellor get to appoint them, and it's a great diverse sounding board for the college. And these are folks who are in industry, they're in labor, they are community activists. They all have an interest and a love for the college. And so over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had them meeting with Neil's team, with Aziz's team, to talk about what are the long-term facility needs that the community would like to see. And so their insight has been fundamentally important to informing what our master facilities plans are. So when we talk about all these great things that are happening at Eastview, such as the health center and some collaborations at Northridge and more investments in the south, the Southeast Travis County land, Pinnacle, all of these issues they were bubbling up at the community with the regional advisory committees. So there's a great kind of coming together of both the college planning processes and using these regional advisory committees as almost focus groups to bounce ideas off of. But a lot of their ideas that we weren't even thinking of have found their way into these master plans. And so it's been a very exciting process, and it's been a lot of fun to kind of go back to the region. Community is our middle name. It's very fun to go back to the regional advisory committees and say, hey, you all said you wanted this, and we're doing it. And so it's been a very wonderful process. And so we're going to continue that as we move forward, thinking about the future of ACC, how the community is growing, how we need to be in concert with that growth and those needs, those employer needs, those human needs. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. One of the things that the RACs have been talking about quite a bit, of course, is student services and what we're doing with all of these projects and how it relates to how we serve our students.
So a lot's happening. I think one of the things we're most excited about is when we think about the renovations of the Student Affairs Suite, it's really about how do we expand. We want to grow and provide different kinds of services and programming to the students that come to us. So everything from when we think about student accessibility services and advocacy resource to really have a true space when we think about what we had as a clothing closet or a food pantry, and really looking beyond that. How do we support students in a different way, in the same way, but in a space where they feel comfortable and invited in? And also, how do we expand our space where students are coming, whether virtually or in person, to be able to meet with their advisor? What does space look like in terms of meeting room space, as well as right now we have team members that are in cubicles. So we really had to rethink, reimagine, and look at what other institutions were doing and having meeting room spaces added to those places because they want to have that confidential space. When I'm talking about my money, I don't want to talk about my money in front of everybody else. So we kind of wanted to make sure that there was a place for that to happen on our campuses. But again, knowing the needs of our students becomes very important. So again, when we go back and we think about what is the picture of student affairs in terms of how students are served, but equally, what does that look like when we know what our students' needs are? You hear us always talking about food insecurity, so that's that student advocacy resource space. When students are really having difficult and hard times, where do we have our counseling space to really be able to provide that private consult with students? So really thinking about the needs of our students that we knew before the pandemic as they're going through it and as we're coming out from under it. We want to continue to evolve because our students are, so must we, and the spaces in which we invite them into have to reflect that as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I want to take a moment just to thank everyone on the panel today. You guys have done a great job keeping us up to date. We have time now to take questions. I'm going to kick it off with a question for Dr. Aguilar. Hector, this is going to be the first time that CE has really had a really cool place to call home. So my question to you is, what does that mean for the program and the fast track programs that we're trying to get our students enrolled in?
Thank you. Yeah, this is the first time we have a home. It's incredible. We're moving a lot of workforce to Northridge. A lot of our IT programs, as Mike Mitchley mentioned, some of our healthcare programs, a lot of our trades programs, you know, HVAC, plumbing, welding, all of those are going to Northridge. Some of our business programs, we have our STEPS program, which is for students that have any type of disability. It's a customized program. It's going to be housed there. We also have our teacher certification program and some of the other programs that fall under teachers. There's a lot of workforce programming that's going to Northridge. We also have like our registration team is moving there. Actually, we have registration teams in other areas, but we're going to have a major hub there. So people are welcome to come in person. They could call us. They could email us. We have people there every day, all day. In CE, we have a team of about 50 people and maybe up to like 500 instructors, about 100 programs, as mentioned, short programs. And of those 50 individuals, we have officed about 35. So we have some here at HLC and at other locations, but Northridge will be our major home. So a lot of workforce moving to that area. Even some of our corporate training, we do a lot of training out at companies. Yes, most of it is in the companies, but some of it sometimes has to be somewhere else. We will have it there when the companies in kind of North Austin, South Williamson County. So the workforce, the corporate training, and also we do a lot of community type training throughout the region, basic courses in computer classes, GED, some different basic computer classes in English. Sometimes we also hold these at campuses, so we're going to have some of those there at Northridge. So we're very excited because we're going to move a lot of workforce. We're already there, so come by.
That's fantastic. And also, I know, we work together trying to get enrollments up in CE. It's moving quickly. It's going great. Capacity has been an issue. So now now it's not an issue so much, hopefully. We're moving in that direction, right?
Thank you, Brett. Marketing has been.
Well, no, I wasn't going for that, but thank you. I appreciate it. So I would like to ask Jessica to tell us what questions are going on, and while she's looking for those questions real quickly, I know one question I've heard and seen, and that is, tell me about the Make It Center. We have a Make It Center that's in the works right now, and so the question is, and I'm going to be the first to say, Dr. I love it. Not the first to say. Dr. Janelle Green is our director of the Make It Center. And so, Janelle, tell us, what is it?
So the Make It Center is a really dynamic space that's going to invite our students and our community to come and explore the industries and the careers that are really fueling the growth in Central Texas. We want to do this in a multitude of ways, hands-on experiences, virtual experiences. We're establishing so many partnerships, internal partnerships and external partnerships with our community stakeholders and business and industry. So we just want people to come explore, get some experiences, just deepen their engagement with exploring what can be. Highland 2000, second floor, and then also hoping to open for the start of next academic year.
That's so exciting. That's going to be a fun thing to promote as well. Okay, so I'm making my way over to Jessica. We're going to start taking questions.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, everyone, for the conversation. I do want to get to some of the questions we've been tracking on our live stream, so thank you to everyone in the live stream for that. And of course, anyone who is here with us in person, we want to give you that opportunity now, too. So please raise your hand, let us know, and we'll bring the mic to you. But one of the questions came up off the top, Aziz, when you were doing your presentation and giving us that overview, wondering if we had target dates for what will happen in Southeast Travis County where we have that land banking. You showed us short-term plans, long-term plans, but when might those plans kick off, and what does that look like?
I think I might take that one, Jessica. So, we've spent the last, almost 2 years doing the planning. The plans are there. The land is there. Really now we're to the, unfortunately, cash is king. So really what we're talking about right now is we need the money. So we're ready to go. The board, as some of you that follow the board, may have heard that there was an interesting dialogue at the November work session. Actually, the Regional Advisory Committee chairs were doing a presentation, and some of them kind of spurred the board a little bit to say, hey, we're ready to support a lot of the projects that are in these master plans. And they kind of encouraged the board to start really thinking about when we would do our next general obligation bond. So this would be a tax bond election. These are huge projects. The Southeast Travis County would be probably the largest and probably kind of the flagship program in that type of bond program. But then you throw in Pinnacle. The fact of the matter is we will need community support to invest in Southeast Travis County. So in terms of timeline, that's kind of a long process, conducting bond elections. The board has not decided yet when we will have one. But that's the next step. I think what we did learn from that meeting and kind of subsequent conversations is we're going to start talking about it now. So I think here pretty quick, we'll start hearing more about when we might go out for a bond, and that will then set the timeline for a lot of these projects that you heard about earlier.
I just want to add to that. The discussion is ongoing, but I think that people can look at and assume that it'll either be 22, 23, 24 for the next bond issue. That at least gives you a timeline. What was requested from the RACs was that we do this in 2022. But that is a very fast timeline, but it's doable possibly. So we're all working and looking to see what'll be the best time, and it will be a board decision.
Yeah, and so just to wrap that, so what we'll be doing, which is what we did in 2014 as well, we will continue the planning and kind of fleshing this stuff out so that we're as close as possible to kind of shovel ready, as they say, for when that bond happens and it gets approved, we're ready to get to work. And therefore, obviously, then you still got a couple of years to go build the stuff, right? But the goal would be is that we're ready to the day after successful bond, that we can start, putting the shovel in the ground. So.
All right, thank you so much. The next question we got is about updates and upgrades to other campuses across our district. And we didn't get a chance to get into that today. This will be the first in what will be a series of conversations around our ACC facilities. But can there be just a little bit of an overview about how we're looking at some of our older campuses that weren't part of a bond project, weren't part of some of these most recent renovations that we really focused on today? When might we be working and looking at things like carpeting and lighting and other areas across those campuses?
Well, there's a number of projects that have been picked up as part of the $85 million tax maintenance note. So if we take a look at one of our older campuses, Riverside, for example, right? Riverside Building G serves as a hub for so many things. As part of that tax maintenance note, our plan is to get an accelerator. That campus does not have one, to get an accelerator in there. We want to put a welcome center in there. As Shasta mentioned, there is a reimagining of how student services functions and is aligned, and how people are grouped together so they can best serve the students. So part of that renovation is going to encompass that. And when we do these beautiful projects on the interior of the buildings, we don't want to forget about the guts of the building, because the last thing you want is a project to be done and all of a sudden you got a leaky roof on your head. So part of the things that we do from infrastructure side, you necessarily don't see, but they get done just to promote buildings. So you get fresher air, you get better lighting in the spaces, you get buildings that don't leak. Aside from Riverside, one of our older campuses is also the South Austin campus. Our plan is to get an accelerator over there. You heard from Nina about the plans for one of the buildings at Eastview as well. So I think the bond is doing a good job of shotgunning a lot of small projects across the campuses. And then, we basically prioritize the needs in terms of what we wanted to do. And that's how we said, okay, what do we want to address on these older campuses in particular? So we take this opportunity while we have between bonds to kind of address these projects.
Yeah, and I'll just also add, we shouldn't forget that in addition to bonds, and the bonds really are driven towards these larger projects, things that are not kind of operational in nature. But the board has once again, and in fact, they increased or approved the increase of our, what we refer to as a facilities improvement budget. This is actually part of our annual operating budget, and it's a significant chunk of change. And this is really the money that is there for the carpeting, for the electrical, and so forth. To be honest, over the last few years, some of those dollars have had to get redirected into some of these other larger projects as we kind of finished them off. But now that those are done, it's really going to free up the rest of that money going forward, that we can really redirect it back again into these. So that money is also there in addition to the maintenance bond. So when we're going in, and especially a good time is when we go in and renovate, do these big renovations, it's a good time to also go in and do all these other smaller projects while we can, and those can be funded right out of the operating budget.
Thank you. I want to pinpoint one of the areas that you mentioned, actually a couple, but I'll start with one. We talked a little bit about cosmetic kind of repairs, updates, upgrades, but what about things that are related to health and safety? Anything that may be a leaky roof or issues like that? How are those being addressed, and how are they looked at?
Yeah, I think what's been really helpful is our partnership with a firm called Gordian. And what they've done is they've done a facilities condition assessment for us. So they've gone ahead and eyeballed all the buildings across our campuses. And with that effort, they brought in experts who know about building envelopes and know about HVAC systems and electrical systems. And then they've gone ahead and prioritized those systems for us, identifying from a service life, what life is left in buildings and roofs. And that has helped us really prioritize what needs to be done. So as Neil mentioned, as we free up some of these annual facilities improvement budget dollars, we'll be able to go ahead and kind of check off those projects and go ahead and get those completed.
Get to that. We work, safety and operations works closely with facilities on those kind of issues to figure out, is it their team that needs to do the changes, or is it our team that needs to? And that's worked out very well. Who knows? There's always something popping up, And between all of us working together on our teams, we can get all those things done. But if there is a health or safety operations problem, be sure you reach out to Dr. Wayne Maines or to Dr. Mike Garcia, and that's their area of expertise.
And now just we didn't highlight it in the slides earlier, but the tax maintenance bond actually includes significant dollars, many millions of dollars of that 85 million are for these types of things. There are several major roofing projects in there, complete roof replacements, a lot of accessibility projects, which will be going back and doing a lot of work in our restrooms, making sure they're accessible. It's part of making them accessible. They'll also get a little bit of beautification. We didn't really highlight it in the list of projects, but there are many millions of dollars in that tax maintenance notes for those types of projects.
All right, thank you very much. That is getting us right at 1 minute. So I'm just going to wrap it up with a note on recognizing a couple of the comments and questions that came in. We do have some questions that we will be reaching out and developing some Q&A, putting it on the Campus Conversations page. So don't worry if we didn't get to your question today, but I have seen questions about our community clinic. Will there be a pharmacy? So Nina will chat with you about that. Options for the Make It Center and some programs that some folks are excited to see if they might be able to work with you, Dr. Green, to get going in there. Some questions about our student affairs suite renovations and what people can expect with that. So Dr. Buchanan will work with you on that one. And then, of course, the accelerator. As Zizi mentioned, some new accelerators coming on board. So we'll work on getting a timeline, and we will make sure that these are part of future conversations. But you don't have to wait for these live campus conversations. We will continue to share information on your FACT Staff Info Hub, too. So please keep track of things there. And, of course, on this Campus Conversations webpage, we will have a Q&A as well. Brad, I'm going to hand it back to you so you can close us out.
Thank you so much. So that's my cue to say goodbye. But before I do, I want to say thank you to Aziz, to Neil, to Molly Beth, to Mike, to Shasta, to our deans and department chairs, our project managers, to our audience here, and the 300 folks who are watching us online. We appreciate you. Stay tuned. Mark your calendars. 2022 is going to be full of grand openings. That we promise you. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, and happy Friday.